Should you find someone in your life who doesn't have a very stable physical life, know for sure they're going to have a chaotic emotional life. And just in case sometimes they look at you and say, I love you, do not be deceived by their statements. For the most part, they're trying to figure out why they're a mess. Once in a while, they are freed from this mess. They look at you and say, I really like you, let's get married. Run. Do not have hope. They're simply given 5 minutes of resting period by their own psyche. Or maybe they just got a raise and they're happy and therefore they're forgetful of their past. Okay? Do you have any questions thus far? Because there is a good amount of immaturity at this stage, the iron stage, something really interesting happens. What most of us do at the iron stage is that it's a place where we react to things all the time. And reaction is nothing but a judgment. And it's not that you are judging yourself, because that requires reflection. What you judge is the external force. You did this to me. I feel this way because of your actions. So what you want to do is you want to correct the external so that in your internal can kind of go back into this place of harmony. زمن بشنوی پیرآموزگار مکن تکیه بر گردش روزگار که این منزل درد و جای غم است در این دامگه شادمانی کم است. If you want to build your foundation on the physical world, know that the world has only one function: to be in constant change. And in change, there is no stability. And when things are unstable, there is never rest. So don't seek stability and rest from things up here or down here, because they keep changing their shape, their form, their color. Now, there is another thing to be said for those of us who belong to the iron stage, which is for those of us who have had children or have been around nieces and nephews, and they happen to be relatively young, like 4, 5, 6, they see you, they jump on your lap and they say, Target. Why do you want to go to Target? I want to buy a toy. Well, you have 1,000 toys. I want to buy this toy. And they'll keep harassing you until you just break and you say, fine, let's go. They play with the toy for 5 minutes, then it's trashed. And what you need to know about the iron stage is this. Most of the desires that you and I have are cheap and superficial. We want them to be there. We want to be gratified, and once we are gratified, we trash them. And this is, for the most part, the stage of industrialized cultures, where you have an abundance of things, but you're never given a chance to play with one single toy for the rest of your life. You have one toy for 10 minutes, then it's trashed, another is replaced. If you look at our parents or our grandparents, what do you find? A single house an entire lifetime, a single marriage an entire lifetime, a single car an entire lifetime. You have 2 suits, 1 shoes. That's not the way we function. Our desires at the iron stage are primitive. And you can grasp them very, very quickly. The only thing is, their shelf life is like milk. 2 weeks later, it is expired. Okay? Now, let me put this in a different way. Imagine that I am at the iron stage, and it belongs to the genitalia. It means what? I want sex that comes to me quickly. I want drugs that come to me quickly. Why? Because down here, I only desire pleasure of the body. Like a kid, I see something and I want it quickly. And the moment I have it, I grow tired of it. I don't want to wait for anything. I feel entitled. I am privileged to pursue it, and then pray to have it. Once had, I grow tired. Okay? So let's say, for example, that from the age, say 15 to the age 35, my definition of fun, happiness, pleasure, who I am, what I want to do with my life is governed by smoking, drinking, and sexing. And whatever money I make is used to satisfy these pleasures, not to buy a car, not to help my parents, not to buy a shelter. Smoking, drinking, and just having superficial pleasures. Nothing wrong with them. Something very, very strange happens at a certain point, and I'm not quite sure how it happens, and I don't think any of you should go like to Barnes and Nobles and buy a self-help book that'll tell you how it's going to happen. It's not. At a certain point, something about you opens up. Again, I don't know how it happens. You know, it's like your parents keep telling you, go to school, go to school, go to school for 20 years. And then at the age of 40, you go to your mom and say, Mom, you were right. I'm going to school. And your mom says, remember I told you 20 years ago. You say, yeah, Mom, but it just took me 20 years to actually get it. You can't make the grass grow by pulling it. Inasmuch as you want to quit, you have to be in the right place. Okay? If you are lucky, and if you have the right people in your life, and if psychologically, emotionally, something about you opens up, you enter this stage here. It's called the abdomen. And it's what we call bronze. When you get to the bronze stage, the nature of your pleasures begin to change. You say, I'm getting tired of smoking and drinking and just hanging out with my loser friends. I want to go back to school. Your relationship with happiness begin to change. I don't want to waste my money on booze anymore. Your relationship with money begins to change. I am tired of having ridiculous conversation with my friend. Your relationship with language and ideas begin to change. The thing you need to be aware of is the following. You still have 100 friends down here. And when they see you going up, they will do whatever they can to pull you back down. Because it's not just a clean and quick break. It takes you a while for you to get to the bronze and say, instead of hanging out with my friends and drinking and smoking and doing all sorts of crazy things, I want to go to school 9 to 5. And John calls and say, hey, Jack, what are you doing? I'm in a class. Class, forget it, come out. We're all here drinking and having pizza. It's very tempting. They are the Satans in your life. You're up here trying to better yourself. And this is new. You know, when you go to a park and did you have just planted these tiny little seedlings and they say, please don't step on this area. You're going to kill the plants. Just give them a few months, then you can walk. You are brand new here. This is a brand new you. And your friends will do whatever they can to step on this brand new you, to kill it, so they can have you back down here. But there is another thing you need to understand. When you say you're going to school, something about you touches something about them. They know they are losers. You are making them look bad and feel bad about themselves, who they are, what they're doing. And as long as they don't see you up there, going to school, trying to make a life for yourself, they will continue to feel good about who they are, what they are, and what they're doing. And if you don't have a support system up here, if you don't have a wife or a husband or a sibling or a parent who says, forget those loser friends, stay in school. Come back to the house. I'll pay for your room. I'll pay for your food. I'll pay for your laundry. I'll even buy you a car. Now that support system allows you to remove yourself from the iron and live in the bronze. But here's the thing you need to understand about your new life in the bronze, going to school. Down here, you smoke, 10 minutes later you feel good. You drink, 10 minutes later you feel good. You have sex, 10 minutes later you feel maybe bad. Okay? In school, you stay in boring classes. What you don't have here, the capacity to be patient, the stamina to live with boredom, with an environment that is not very pleasing to your ears or to your body. These are uncomfortable chairs. Some of you don't even like me, and I don't really blame you. You don't like the tone of my voice. I don't blame you on that either. You don't even like the way I speak about things. I don't blame you. But your new life demands what? You know that you need 3 units. You know you want to go to San Francisco. You know this is a required class. So what do? If down here you're angry and you express your anger, here you bite your tongue. I can raise my hand and look at Amir Sabzavari and say, you suck as an instructor. You're unexciting, uninspiring, and you're immensely boring and monotone. Can you change, please? Okay? Now, what is good about the bronze, your ability, this new skill of being patient. And every time you come here, you endure me. Okay? That's a lot for you to learn. And it's only 2 weeks that you've been in school. 20 years of having fun, immediate fun. Here, you have to wait. You have to wait for 2 years before someone gives you a diploma. That's beautiful, man. You know why? When you get to school, you will learn how to resolve conflict. Now, you may not think it to be valuable, but just wait until you get into a relationship. You will know how to be patient. You will know how to be forgiving. And if I give you enough F's, by the time you get to a relationship and your son looks at you and says, Dad, you suck as a father, you say, oh yeah, I know that, love. I'll take care of it. You know why? You thought you were good in school. I proved you wrong. You learned how to become better. In fatherhood, it's a different game, brand new game. Your son keeps telling you the same thing I used to tell you. But you know that your son is right, or your companion is right. Okay? Now, so remember when you go to bronze, everything about your life or about you changes. Yeah, Julie. If whatever desires you may have up here, and remember, down here you are an individual. It's your pleasure, your fun, it's your life. Up here, it is your pursuit to higher education. Okay? Here, it's your money. And instead of spending it on, say, booze, now you spend it on buying a car and then buying a house. Okay? But something down here, okay, still leaves you incomplete. And no one again can be forced out of the stage. And remember, if down here you have 100 friends, up here you have 20. As you move up, your circle of friends begin to shrink. Something happens up here when at a certain stage where you're near the top. You look at the environment, maybe your parents will tell you, you have enough money, you're done with school, you have a car, you have a house, your job is stable. Why don't you find yourself a companion? Or maybe it's something that just oozes out of you. Say, you know what, I have everything that would make a life relatively complete. I'm looking for someone, a companion, build a life with. I'm tired of having one night stands. I'm tired of having like relationships last for a year and then go bad. I want stability. And here you enter into silver, and that's the chest area. If down here you were polygamous, if in the bronze stage you were still polygamous, in the silver stage you become monogamous. You have a definite definition of what you want to do and what happiness is, what pleasure is. You want a companion. You want children. You want a family. You want to be good to your parents. You want to recycle. Okay? Now, most of your friends down here are still in the business of making money, buying a house after a house after a house, buying a Tesla, then a Jaguar, then a Tesla. They become profoundly envious, resentful of you because you've reached a place of contentment. You say, I have made enough money. I am content with simply having a house and a single car. I don't want any more. I want a companion. I want to share what I have with another. For the first time in your life, you're in the right place to share your goods, whether it's physical goods, emotional goods, intellectual goods, with another human being. You see yourself and another long term. Now, you can't be here if you still have passions of here. It won't work. So if you, for example, have a past that's broken, and somehow you don't know how to deal with the brokenness, and you assume that if you simply get married, the past will disappear, it won't. There will come a point, the past will creep up and will begin to rot the life that you've created up here, and eventually it'll crash down. Remember, life is about justice. No one can cheat life. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. You can throw all of your trash in the closet. And as long as you don't see them, they don't exist. But then when your mom calls and says, we're coming over, what do? And you know how your mom is. She goes to every single room. She opens every single door to make sure your house is spotless. And all the things that you just push in the closet, eventually you have to go back and clean everything out. Now, this is the life that most of us have, if not all of us, and this is the life that most of us want. Do not be like Matthew, who followed Jesus Christ. Do not go to YouTube and listen to Eckhart Tolle. They are poison. If you are lucky enough to have a healthy physical life, you are profoundly lucky. If there are gods, they look down and they will like you. It is truly difficult to figure out what pleasures we should pursue. And in 21st century, in America, with all sorts of advertisements that are trying to sell us poison, okay? You'll be very, very lucky if you're able to find a companion who's no longer here and who's no longer here. And they see themselves with you long term. You'll be profoundly lucky if you can have kids who are relatively decent. This is a huge accomplishment. Okay? Now, going back to, yeah.
I was just going to say, the higher state likes
I think all these different stages create their own addictions, but I think it's much better to be addicted to making sure your kids are well than being addicted to, say, drugs. Okay? The thing with addiction, any kind of addiction, is that and let's say there's a thing here that to which you're addicted, hypothetically speaking. You just don't look at a thing and all of a sudden find yourself addicted to it. What happens is you become attracted, you become curious, okay? And then you desire it. Then the desire turns into a want. Then the desire turns into a need. The moment it becomes a need, you have an emotional relationship to the thing. Not here, not here, not here, not here, not here. You want a Tesla. You want a house. But you don't lose sleep over them. But the moment you need a Tesla, you toss and turn. Now, when you need, your journey begins. Your journey towards the object of attraction begins. Now, to complete this journey, you need knowledge, you need resources. I know where, say, this bar is. What kind of resources you want? Well, you can either walk, that's one way. You can ride your bike, that's another way. You can take Uber, you can drive. Once you're there, you need money to buy. These are the resources. Now, we're not even going to talk about why you have this desire to drink or why you have this desire to smoke. That's for perhaps a different day, okay? Now, what happens is you experience this thing now for the first time. Now, remember what we said. It'll give you either pleasure or pain. It's either positive or negative. If, for example, you go there because you're angry and confused and grieving or in despair, the moment you get drunk, everything gets forgotten. Or maybe you're just a little bit numb. You can deal with this better, whatever it is you're going through. And then something about it says, so instead of me sitting home and reading or going to the gym and punching a bag, I can simply go to Easy Bar, grab a couple of drinks, sit there. And what happens is this. Every Monday through Sunday, from 5 to 7, you find yourself at Easy Bar. It's no longer about the drink. It has now become a habit. You do this every single day. Okay? At 4:45, you look at your watch. It's something you do now every single day. Do you know how difficult it is to break a habit and how habits are created? Time. and repetition. You do the same thing over and over and over again until it becomes part of your soul. And the only way you break a habit is to crucify that part inside you. And it's tough. Okay? So what happens if you're an excessive drinker? You quit drinking, but then you start smoking. You quit smoking, but then you do porn. You quit porn, but you're always in the gym. Habits create inside you this compulsive behavior where you need to do something that creates a certain pattern. Yeah.
No, I can relate to that. I was very pretty.
Yeah.
Until like 5 years ago. I mean, that was my repetition. You're right about that too. Because every morning I'd wake up, get the banana for some money. I'd always have beer, man.
Yeah.
Back. At night I'd make sure I had 2 beers left, a few cents left over, get start off again. So I could,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That addiction is like inherent, let's say, once you start on that path, like what you're saying, like you switch to or
You have built it, but if your question has to do with, is it possible to overcome it?
like find no longer.
Okay. If you go back to pleasures of the body, and let's just say bronze is pleasures of the mind, where you want to go to school and just better the way you think about things. See, what happens here is you have an image of yourself. This new image of you is very, very, very tiny. So what you have for the first time now, this image and this image begin to fight. But this is a Mike Tyson. Okay? This is a nothing. And no matter how much you desire to be this, it'll never happen. This down here has addictions, habits. And this wants new habits, new addictions. Instead of smoking every day, you want to now read the Bible every day. You want to make reading a habit. But this, the culprit, the villain, will always come up and say, no, it's not going to happen. You know, imagine like you want to go home and sit and say, today I just want to sit and just relax. And you want to close your eyes. Then your head begins to itch, and then your butt begins to itch. What the hell am I doing? Because I'm not Hindu. And then you just get up and say, the hell with it. Now, the way that this can grow, now remember, this is difficult because you have no idea where it's going to take you. You have no idea if it's even possible. And every time this shows its face, it gets crushed by this. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have some extra cash and you go to Telegraph in Berkeley and you say, today I have $100 in my pocket. I want to just give the money away to people. You know, you see this young kid like 15, you give him $1. Then you see another kid that's like 16, you give him another $1. And after like 10 minutes of doing this, you say, what the hell, man? These are young people. They can go to Home Depot. They can do this. They can do that to make themselves some money. And then you get disgusted. And then you walk away. All of a sudden, your own mind begins to play tricks on you. It's impossible. Now add to it this. Every time this gets crushed, you lose part of your hope, your desire to change. And if you're not careful, this will completely go away. The only way the seed is going to remain protected and hopefully grow is if you have a support system. A father, a mother, a sister, a brother. Okay? You have to find yourself in this castle, and they keep nourishing. Let me just end the class with this, and then we'll come back on. I don't know, next time we'll talk. There was this little house on the prairie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the movie or the TV show. It's maybe the later seasons where he has a son, and the son experimented with some drugs like cocaine, and then he got hooked onto it. And they tell the father, there is really nothing you can do except go to Ace, buy some ropes, tie his legs and his hands to the bed. Just let him be. Close the door. And he says, really? How about therapy? How about Kaiser? How about this? No, you can't do anything. It has to leave his system. And there is only one way. It's like baptism through fire, you know? So the father ties his hands and his feet, and he leaves the room, he shuts the door, and he stands outside, and the kid is screaming. You know, if you've seen the movie The Last Samurai, there's a scene where Tom Cruise just screams, Saki, Saki, because that's what he used to do. He killed a lot of Indians. He feels bad for having done so, and the only way he can numb the pain and the memory is by drinking. Okay? And the father is simply standing outside, and every time this kid screams, Jack London, I think that was the name of the guy who played, he just cried and cried and cried and cried. And of course, a 30-minute show, and at the end of the movie, the son had recovered. That is a support system. Now, the thing that no doubt any person with any addiction will do is this. Imagine I am your brother, and I am addicted, and you see me being addicted, and you come to help me, and I receive your help simply because I happen to be in the right moment. What I will do from that point on, once that moment passes, I will push you away because I want to go back drinking. You just need to be at a place where you don't give up on me. And that's very, very tough. Being you, not being me. I know drinking. That's my life. You are in the business of recovery. You want to help me. But I abuse you on a daily basis. There needs to be so much love, compassion, forgiveness, above all, understanding inside you that you say, I'm going to go into my brother's life, Amir. He's going to trash me, abuse me, harass me for the next 5 years. I'll be there. It's not so much about me wanting to get rid of the addiction. The question is, my support system, i.e. you, are you willing to endure my abuse? If you've ever had a companion who was a drunk, for example, what do? You put up with a bunch of stuff for many, many, many years. There comes a point where your companion says, I'm just tired. I can't do it anymore. And they leave. We'll talk more next time we meet. Take care, you guys. Sorry again for keeping you over.